Well, hello everybody. Sound check. I think we've got it. We'll see. Thanks everybody for joining me. Hot Dog Pilot, Andy. Looks like you might have been the first one that I see in. GRA 2057. Pete Motley. Good morning. JP Beaumont Hill Subdivision. Brother Dan in Ohio. Hey, Steve from Getting Back on Track with Steve and Roxy. And that's it. We see Dan says we got 5 by 5. Put the comments on the screen. And yeah, I was messing around with what I thought was going to be a demonstration of fixing shop light. And I don't quite understand the power supply situation there. I thought it was simple. I thought it was simple, but it turns out not so simple. So I'm going to have to figure that out, or I just broke a shop light. Okay, so what do we got? Hey, Dwight, Curly Express is here. Thanks for joining the show. What do we got going on today? Well, not a whole lot, but you can see the venue has changed a little bit. Behind me are there's some Lego trains up there. Let's see, put my other camera over there. Hey, Skullkill, River Valley, John 2, and Andy in Montrose Highland. Hey, welcome. It's not often that we see you here. Oh, now I'm getting feedback. Okay. I need to fix something here. All right, obviously I do not have OBS set up the way that I want it to be set up. So let's see if I can go to another camera, if it's going to echo on me. Hello? Oh, okay, that's okay. So there's something else going on there. Hey, so Rocky is standing in the middle of where the loops of the helix were. And if you see over here, I can look behind me that I've torn out. There were levels of the helix right here, but they are been removed. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds of helix that I've taken out just at one end, so that I get access to this part of the track here. So where the camera is sitting it's coming off of the third round up from the helix, and that's the first one that gets us off at the second level. So this was a necessary, not a demo. We did not destroy the helix, but it was created so that I could do this, although I had to undo all these nuts and bolts. And you can see if I take the camera into helicopter mode, some of the nuts and bolts are right there. It didn't take too long. Actually, it took about maybe 20 minutes, maybe. So it really wasn't that much work. I go to helicopter mode again, and you can see down here, those are they're 4 ends, 3.5 ends to the helix. So the last one only makes a half round, and that one's down on the floor. So yeah, this is what's been happening. I did this kind of in between some moments at work while waiting for things. But what is going to happen here is right where Rocky is standing, will be 2 tracks that will come off of the helix, which he is looking towards the helix. And then that will be, that will end up with 2 lines that will go up onto the second level and then allow that to go around the second level and then come back and go back down the helix. Now, you might also see behind him, there's another track. See if I walk around here. I've got my little pointer stick. What do I do with that? Okay, so I'll walk around to the other side here. So from this side over here, move. See that these two tracks right here, one is coming around here, and this one continues on up the helix, and this one also continues on up the helix, but allows you to go around the second level and then go up to the third level. So it's out of the camera view, but it's up here. So that's what I'm working on. This will be initial parts of this, maybe all of this. I'm not sure, but at least this turnout right here will be Kata. It'll just be easier that way to tie this in here, I think. But I might change my idea. I might relay this, but that means that I have to put I'll have to put a turnout in there. I do have some. I'll have to put like a large Pico turnout in here is what I would want to put in here. And I haven't decided that if I'm just going to go all in with FlexTrack or if I will still leave a little bit of Unitrack there. Now, initially, yes, the laundry is ready. Hey, Pete and wife are here. Hello to Laurel, I think. If I got her name right. Okay, so, and apologies if I don't. I'm terrible with names. I'm terrible with names. So yeah, this is part of what we're going to talk about in the show. The other part, I didn't quite get to it. Just things didn't work out. And if you go and see this mess here, this right here, and I didn't bring up my second monitor here, so I had to switch back and forth. But this right here is a shop light. And before I left on vacation, I removed all the shop lights that were above the garage door. So the garage door comes up, and I had 4 shop lights up there. The problem is, and I'll show you in a second, this is what I'm attempting to fix. The problem is, let me switch back to a different view here. I'll show this. Main camera, switch back here. Okay, problem is these little bad boys right here. So those are converters. They convert AC here, 120 volts AC, to what I think is 12 volts DC. In fact, I tested it and it was 12 volts DC. So there's a little like transformer in there. There's a couple of capacitors, and there's more likely than not some switching circuitry, which is probably like what used to be called like a bridge rectifier, but now they're probably just it's probably just integrated circuits that are just switching stuff back and forth. So, you know, the sine wave, the current, or the power coming into your house, both in everywhere else in the world, many places it's I always let JJ go first. Yes, don't try this at home. which is why I tried to do this before. In fact, here's the little handy dandy little on and off switch. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. What should happen is this. Let's see. Let there be light, lots of light. Yes, blinding light. That's what it's supposed to look like. But one of the things that you may or may not know, and you might know it if you've tried and had trouble opening up your garage door after you put LED lights in. Well, these little pieces in here create RF interference, radio frequency interference. And the frequency that most garage doors operate in, they just, yeah, this makes all kinds of trouble. And I had, well, there's two of them in here. There's another two in the other one. And I had 4 lights. So I think each string of lights takes takes one of those little things. And here's what it looks like inside. It's just strip lighting. I thought this was easy, but it turns out applying 12 volts to this again, that's not what it wants. So something interesting happened in the disassembly process. Yeah, hey, Wesley, LaShonda West, thanks for joining. So yeah, so this was about a couple of years of having the garage door opener work kind of intermittently and annoyingly so, and probably resulted in a few curse words in the day. So these are the culprits. What was my intended solution? Well, it didn't quite work out. So my intention was, here we go. And maybe I'll still be able to figure this out, but probably not during the show because I need to do some more research now. But my intention was to turn this wire here into 12 volts DC. Now, what that means is, and also you can pass these through to the other end. Obviously, you do not want to connect, once you convert it to 12 volt DC, you do not want to hook it up to 120 volts. So that will most certainly fry the little LEDs. Maybe even start some sparks and nice little things. But yeah, I only want mine to work with the wall button. Yeah, I can see that. You don't want people opening up your garage door when you're model railroad. Yeah. Yeah, I know, Andy. Overseas is 240 volts. There are merits to both. You're also 50 hertz instead of 60. You know, why? Because we just have to be different in the States. But anyways, yeah, so this is the culprit. And having 4 shop lights up there, there was at least 6, if not 8 of these little bad boys up there. I think one of my shop lights only has a single string. It is kind of interesting about how they do these tubes. These things, these are diffusers. Kind of a nice little thing. Makes it so they aren't super bright, but they just slide in to a little track in there. And then this other wire is the 120 volts AC passing through. Closet branch is here. Oh yeah, there he is. Dats, hello Dats. Okay, So that's the story on the shop lights. Turned it into a non-interesting. I mean, they look like fluorescent bulbs like that, but they're not. So inside again is that, which is a variation of. See if I have some over here. I think I do. These are a little bit different. They're spaced, so the spacing on those, but it's the variation of the strip lights here, right? So, yeah, same concept. This is a lot easier to deal with, I'll tell you that much. One of the other options is to just, if I can't get these to work, is just junk these and slide this back into the tube here. See if I can show you. So I can actually take this tube off of this, and I can take that wire out. And that was the other thing we have on the floor. Okay, so this is the diffuser tube, and it probably could just slide in a strip light right in there like this. So you could do this. This is intended to be stuck down, but I'm not peeling off this back sticker. Yeah, it's a little bit kinked here. So it doesn't want to go back into this channel. Go in there. Yeah, now it's got that little kink in there. So anyways, you could do this, and then do I dare try to show you that? I think we will. We have a power supply. We have a power supply right here. Turn it on, and it's 12 volts, and I got it dumbed down to. Let's just put very little amperage on there. So here we go. We've got this in this diffuser here, right here. So let me see, can I make this so this way? All right, so here we go. Live demo. Okay, red is plus. Just hold that. Try to hold that. It's not easy when you only have two hands. Okay, so hold that there. Okay, here we go. Oh, I think I did something bad. Oh yeah, that was not good. I think because I had a conductive thing on here. Okay, let me see. No, it does not like that at all. All right, live demo. So you saw a flash of light and then it just turned itself off. So it's obvious to me that I have done something wrong. That power supply is 12 volts. This should be working just fine. So danger. Hey, Willow Creek Industrial Spool. There you go. Yeah, don't get scared. People, don't try this in your house. Let's use a different power supply. One that's actually rated for doing this. If I can find one in this jumble of wires over here. Yeah. So I do have a power supply. do have a power supply over here somewhere. Where's it hooked up? Okay, there's that thing. Live television, folks. Live television. Here you go. Let's see if we can blow my circuit breaker in my house out and we can go all dark. All right. No blue smoke. There was no blue smoke. There's no decoders involved in this. All right. So here we go. I've got a couple of different pieces here. So these are what you normally hook up to this. So unless there's a short in the string, it would not make sense that it would even go on at all. All right, so I've got 12-volt power supply here. Hook that up. I'm gonna take my voltmeter here. Let's see. Yeah, boys and girls, don't do this at home unless you're a qualified person. And I obviously am not. All right, so I'm gonna make sure that I've got 12 volts coming in here. And indeed, I do. There's about 12 volts if I keep the piece connected to the probe. There we go. 12 volts coming in there. Yeah, the Funny Bone Dock. For those of you who remember that Funny Bone Dock game. All right, so now we should be able to. Still trying to push the string farther up. I don't think it's going to make a difference. Okay, so here's that part. No power there. Of course, round things like to roll, so you know. Okay, let me get the string stretched out. If I didn't break it when I did this last time, I would put some non-conductive thing to hold it down. Because I did have a pair of metal pliers. That was probably not a good idea. Okay, so now I've got the red and the black end, and you can't see this too well. But maybe you'll see this light. There we go. So that's it. I obviously have something that's not right about my power output. It's DC. It doesn't like that. So there you go. This is dimmer, but there's a diffuser with the string lights just pushed back into there. So that little add, and I'm pushing a few more little inches of it. It's not easy because there was that kink in the glue part. But anyways, yeah, so this is possible. So you could replace these things out if you wanted to. I think this is less light because this string's over here. So now that we got that going, here's this. Let's try something different. Let's take this other piece. I have to take this piece out. Okay, throw that over there. Now, I'm going to put the original thing back in here. So this just feeds in. There's got like a metal backing to this to keep it firm. And I can push the on-off switch for that. So there's no power connected when I do this, which is, you know, what you should be doing when you do this. So I connect the leads up to this. All right. Now, no go, no joy. Okay, what have I ascertained here? Okay, so here's what I figured out. Something about what power this takes. It is red and black here, but guess what? Let's try reversing it. They're diodes, so they're not going to die if you put it as reverse. He said, not knowing what would happen. All right, so here we go. I've got it reversed, and no, and let's put that power back on there. Let's see. Yeah, that's the old string. Now, this should work here, but no. So guess what? There's something about these that are just not, they're not simply 12 volts. No, there's something else going on here. All right. These are not your normal everyday strip lights. So there you go. I thought I knew what was going on here. What would I do next? So the secret is figuring out what these little transformers, what are they doing? First thing is they're glued down with a bunch of glue. Maybe I can pop one out. I've already gone much further, but we're only half an hour into the show. So yeah, why not just push the envelope? So yeah, there's some kind of sticky stuff that's holding this down here. Oh yeah, come on out of there. There we go. Look at that. This here, this is what we need to understand. Unfortunately, in order to try to save some of the wire, I pulled off this. So how do we test this? Well, this would be a little bit more, I could say, interesting. Some might say dangerous. But I've done stuff with live wires before. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do it on the show. But what you would do here is this little circuit board here. I'm trying to see if it says anything about what the outputs are. But what you would do is, in a controlled environment, hook up your incoming live 120 volts to this side, and then measure what it's like on this side. Now, I did that before. I opened up this other piece and I hooked up my voltmeter to it, and it said it was simply 12 volts, but it's not so simply 12 volts. There's something else that's going on here, which I don't understand. So that's why I've been foiled, not been able. Now, in theory, if this all worked, I should be able to hook these sides up to 120 volts and this side up to that piece that I threw away over here. Should be able to put this back together, right? Unless I killed it, which is possible. Hook these pieces up to here. So black goes to that side and red goes to the middle. And then it should work. So you can also see on here that these LEDs are much closer together. That provides probably more lumens to you. And again, this device, even it's cheap. It was probably like $20. And it served me well, except for confounding me with not being able to reliably open my garage door, which is, and it did. Could it be an amperage issue? It could be. I'll go and look at see what you wouldn't think these things shouldn't be doing anything, and then I can actually go and look and see what does. I need to check what's OCP. It was giving me that warning, but I think I was doing it when I had the strip lights and I had it shorted, so that would make sense. I've got this power supply, adjustable power supply. I could crank it up, but I had it at 1 amp before. I don't know. I could go and look at maybe. Probably bought these off of Amazon. It's either Amazon or Home Depot. Don't know where, because it's been a few years that I bought them. But yeah, LED shop light. Here it is. 42 watts. You can take anywhere from 100 to 277 volts AC, 50 or 60 hertz. So it does, but it doesn't say. This is 0.4 amps. But then again, I think I had it cranked up to 1 amp. But it didn't do that. Yeah, they're perfect if you don't mind the RF interference that these. So there's a switching circuit in here. So if we talk about what happens to go from AC to DC, I don't have a little handy dandy little chalkboard here, but what happens? So we'll talk about North American voltages. Hey, Klondike, good morning. 3.5 amps. I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyways, but like I said, I can research this and figure this out, what's going on. Got a part number on there. I don't see any it doesn't say like any input and output things, because obviously who would want to know? You're not supposed to open these things up. Okay, so anyways, what happens is you got this little mini transformer here. This may be helping to step down the voltage right here. But that's not enough. You have to have a couple other things that are going on. So when you have 12 volts DC, when you have 12 volt, 120 volts AC, it's not a steady thing. It's called alternating current for a reason. It's doing this thing called a sine wave. So it goes up from highest potential in the plus polarity and then goes down to highest potential in the lowest potential. And incidentally, for those of you that understand phases, and I don't completely do it, but when you get like 2-phase or 3-phase, that is how you can actually get higher voltages going on in our homes. So we do have 240 volts in the US, and we usually use a different setup for that. I think you need to have 2 wires coming in, plus and neutral. Anyways, so it's a difference in, so what's going on? So what's happening here is there's a capacitor. There's another capacitor right there. There's also a resistor. That guy standing up right there. And then you got another capacitor over on this side. And some circuitry there, probably like a bridge rectifier. So what does look, there's 4 diodes. And diodes work as like this one-way gate. They let power go in one direction, current go in one direction, but it can't go back the other direction. So that's what allows, so it's saying, okay, I'm in the positive direction, okay, I'll let this go through. Then it goes to the negative, it's like, okay, I'm not letting it go through, but I'll let it go through on the other side, the negative side. And then you can join those together, so you get a steady thing. So then you're going to jump like this. Dun, 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 dun. And then how do you smooth out that so it's not going like up and down from 12 volts down to 0 and 12 volts down to 0? That's where these capacitors come in. So they kind of store up the energy, and then when it goes lower, it bleeds it off. So anyway, that's just a complete layman's explanation of what's going on here. But when it's doing that, it's switching that back and forth 50 or 60 times a second. And that is what leads to radio interference, especially between the differences of things that are going on between the wires. So that in turn is making stuff. Yes, Dan's model railroading. I did plug it in and turn it on. In fact, we almost, some people would say, we almost electrocuted ourselves, but we are fine. I've done far worse than this before, including emitting blue smoke, the infamous blue smoke. So that's what didn't go on with the ShopLight adventure. Maybe I'll get back to that. I have to figure this out. I have to do some more research on exactly what's coming out this other side over here. Yeah. Yeah, it's producing an oscillation. And radio is that. In fact, the very first radios, were like spark gap emitters. What they were doing was sparking stuff, and that sends out electromagnetic radiation in the form of a radio wave. So when you have certain circuits, if you read on this in North America, and probably it's similar in other places around the world, there are regulations. And on the back of here, in theory, okay, dead giveaway right here. This is made in China. You know what sticker it doesn't have on here? It doesn't say anything about UL Underwriters Laboratory. Yeah. So things that you might see for like decent electronics. Let's see if we have something on this Walmart over here. Oh, similar thing, made by the same company. It's that Intertech thing again. Yeah, don't run internet. Yeah, don't run that next door. So this is class 2 power supply. This has more things on it than that ShopLight does. There's this FC thing. Yeah. Shenzhen, common place where a lot of these things are done. 4 big diodes would help. Yes. So this one's actually outputting a maximum of 1.2 amps max. But the output is 1.2 amps max is the draw. And then the output is 12 volts, 300 milliamps, 3000 milliamps. So that's outputting a maximum of 3 amps. So it could be, what I should do is I crank up my power supply. I was overdrawing it. So it could be as simple as that. Maybe I should just do that. Oh, you're getting rain. Getting rain down in the Southlands. Okay, so that's what we got there. If we go back over, let's go back over to, for those of you that didn't see those other things, talk about, again, this is where I'm at with getting up to the second level. I haven't spent a whole lot of time doing this except for starting to lay out. One of the things that's a problem right now is the curve that comes up here is joined to this flex track part, so it's held in place, and it really overextends the 90-degree angle. So what that means is that as it comes off of the curve, that's right behind here, it's a little bit more than 90 degrees. So it's not exactly lined up directly. And because I've got this other, you see that I've got this flex track coming in here. This flex track is going to a turnout, which I've got in here. Since I've laid that there, that's pretty much a done deal. If I want to redo that and make the curve so it was adjusted correctly, which maybe I should do, I'd have more work cut out for me. So I don't want to redo that. It was working fine. So anyways, that's what's going on. Maybe I'll have some time this weekend to actually start laying the cork road bed. And this cork road bed is, because for a while there it was hard to find. And you might see this, I think even Mike Pfeiffer switched to using this. But this is Kato cork road bed. Kato cork road bed. And what I could say is this. For those of you who know that Midwest, this other cork road bed, so this is one kind, right? And the other kind of looks like, well, there it is right here. This stuff here, which a lot of people are used to in N-scale NHO, right? The only thing I don't like about this is you pull these things apart and what should be a beveled edge, only one of them is really that clean. The other one's really ragged. So you end up with using two of those pieces. One side has got a nice kind of slope down side to it, and the other side, no. So you end up trying to play a game where you face the good one facing towards the outside. At least I do. So yeah, one side is rough. But this Kato, this is super. Sanding oftentimes just doesn't even help, because the other side is like useless. It's rough. It's worse than rough. It's almost like it is perpendicular. It's not like this. It's kind of like, eh. And one of the things is because of the grain in this cork, the sizes of it is so large. So if you look at the grain of this is pretty fine. And this is the kind of cork that you'll see. This is kind of cork that you'll see kind of like on push pin boards and things like that. But this is a lot more stable. If you lay this down, there's almost no sanding involved. You can just lay this down, and if your bench work is good, your sub road bed is good, you can just lay track on it. Yeah, foam road bed is kind of cool too, because that you can just lay that down. It's just one piece. So there's other things you could do. You can actually buy stuff and make your own. If you've got like an angled blade, you could cut things like that. Let's see how nice it's almost perfect. But the one thing is, it looks like this. You definitely would want to ballast and or paint that, because yeah, it doesn't quite look authentic. But I'll tell you what, it sure is precise. Okay, so that's what I'm on about. Thanks for watching this silly journey towards this shop light stuff. But I'll tell you what, these shop lights were giving me so much grief. At first, I couldn't figure it out. But I did some research, and finally, people said, "Hey, did you check if you've got any LEDs?" Including another thing you probably don't want to do, but I don't know what to do about it. LEDs in your screw-in lights in your garage door opener itself. Yeah, those light bulbs have got these kind of things inside them as well. Yeah. Could you shield it? I suppose you could try, but the thing is, the way that this happens is it's not just this that's the problem. Um, it turns out that it does something that even when it's turned off, you could have no power to this, and it will still resonate and interfere with the signal. So there's something about that, including these power lines and even the power that's running to connect all of the lights together right inside. They act as antennas, actually receiving the signal. So it creates a really bad situation when you're trying to just, and I'll tell you the truth, I'm pretty sure that garage door openers use a fairly simple mechanism. There aren't that many sequences there. They are doing some kind of coded thing to, in theory, you have to train those, the garage door opener, or if you train your car, you have to train it with the garage door opener. It's setting up a sequence of numbers that are sent back and forth that need to match. And that's so you don't want to be driving down the street and just click on your remote and see whose garage door you can open. It should be paired. But anyways, there you go. Another wacky little experiment into just kind of the absurdity of electronics. It does have some implications into LocoNet as well for those of you using Digitrax. And as well as you might or might not know, on your bus wire has a signal on it, and it's not alternating current, it's not DC, it is a switched signal, and it's there, so it's the bus wire is sending signals on it. as well as you've got your voltage differential, so you can run motors, right? But so yeah, anything to avoid. Hey, now I'm starting. I'm starting. Look at this. I mean, look at that. I mean, we disassembled that just so we could get access to the track. Otherwise, he couldn't even get to the second level. So this is the first part, right? Got to get there. So yeah, 60 hertz, 50 hertz. They're probably all the same. They have different problems. So there we go. Lots of cool physics probably involved if we could wrap our heads around it. But yeah, the cover shot. Yeah. Well, anyways, so what I need to do is get back to the point where we can actually get trains up to this level, and then test out and rewire. So the Helix right now is not powered. I disassembled everything when I rebuilt the Helix. So that is another thing that needs to be done. So I definitely need to get that done. So, and then once I know that the trains can run smoothly up to this level, I can then put the Helix levels back on, and the path to the third level will be possible. Yeah. But this power supply, it's a little bit vexing, isn't it? I've got other ones. You can actually buy these things somewhere over here in this mess. Here it is. Here's a larger example of that. So you can buy these kind of things. And I do have this in my game room because I hooked up lights up to there. But white side coming in is AC, output is DC, and this is 12 volts out and 1.25 DC amps out. So this is actually this little power supply outputs less than this wall wart here. So this this actually, so 3,000 milliamps, so 3 amps out. So this outputs less than half of the amperage, which means you can have less number of lights. There you go. So there you go. I think this wraps it up. What are we doing next week? Maybe by next week, I'll figure out something about the 500 subscriber giveaway. I don't have that all put together yet. One of the problems is I need to go down into my garage and open up several boxes and find the box that the big boy came in. I want to put that back in there, and I also want to put a video together so people know, yes, this train actually does work. And then I need to figure out what my prizes will be for HO scale and others. So I don't really know what that is, and until I do, I'm not going to make I'm not going to open up the contest. So this time I won't get any grief from anybody about saying, "Hey, you had the contest before you got to 400." Like, okay, whatever, troll, get out of here. Okay, so that's all I got. Thanks for hanging out with me and Rocky. Is he still over there? Let's check. I think he's still hanging out over there. Yep. He's kind of lonely. But, that is the way. He spends most of his time just staring at the wall. Tools are cool. Yep. Okay. Yep. But I just don't know what tools people might want, and some people don't need some of the tools, and some people do. Um, Having good tools is a good thing. Also, gift certificates to like Micromart or something might be good for people in the U.S. But then, of course, we do have the train tape. That was a cool little find. A little bit expensive, I think, for size of it. That was $20 for that. Um, but I've got mine around here somewhere. It is handy. In fact, I was thinking one of the things I need to do, one of the last thing I'll talk about for the second level here is you see that, and I don't have a demonstration of this, but you see as the helix comes up, let me go back over. As the helix comes up, that the outside rails will switch. So on that far rail, it's bending back around to go up to the third level. That is going to have an auto reversing section because it will have reversed the rail direction. So from right about where Rocky's behind is, and then probably making, depending on how long of a train I want to have, up to maybe one circuit up the helix on the outside track is going to have to be an auto reversing section. So, and that's because even though it's not AC or DC, it is kind of like a Y, but it's not really that way, because what's being linked up, it is crossing, because now I won't go into it. We're at 10 o'clock here, my time. And thank you, everybody who joined from time zones that are a lot more challenging to join. Thanks to my good friend Andy and the other hot dog pilot Andy for coming from the UK. It's always pleasant surprise when both of you or either of you show up. And also, who's I think is only 3 hours different, is Brad down in New Zealand. It's I think it's 7 o'clock in the morning there right now, or maybe earlier, depending on whether or not you have daylight savings time right now. So, anyways, that's all I got. I will see some of you on other shows tomorrow, or actually, will I? No. So tomorrow I have an engagement. Sorry, Dwight. I have my game playing days is on Sunday tomorrow, so I won't be able to get to your show. Apologize for that. But I will see you in 2 weeks, and I'm sure you'll be doing great things, and hopefully you're warmer than you were last weekend. And I also hope that you've recovered from your fall that you had. Yeah, tiger time. Okay, so thanks so much, everybody, for liking. If you're still watching, let's do this little thing, because, there you go. Come on, there you go. Like and subscribe. My finger might be pointing in the wrong direction. I don't know which way people are looking, but for me, it's right there. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell. It helps out for people to know when I'm going live. I ran out of time, and I didn't have time. I had a Veterans Day train. Maybe I'll get some B-roll of that and post that up as a short sometime over the weekend. But thanks so much, everybody. And oh yeah, the chopper. Oh, the chopper's in the other room, so we're not going to be able to see that. It's going to have to fly in from a mile away. So, but yeah, for Hot Dog Pilot, get to the chopper. And another thing, I'll be back. I did go and see the new Running Man movie. I thought it was good. Uh, if you ever read the book that was based on The Running Man, written with a pen name by Stephen King, good movie to see. Uh, Almost, it's closer to the book than the Arnold version. I was surprised and shocked when I started reading the book about how different The Running Man from the 80s was than for the book. But anyways, that's all I got. Yes, I'll be back. And later, folks.